Senator, thank you for bringing us all together here today. I'm grateful for your partnership on really every issue of consequence. I have prepared remarks and I don't get to them, but I just have to say, we're Americans, so we know what it is to experience hardship. We know what it is to be resilient and to lean on one another to overcome those hardships. We've experienced hardship because of depression and recessions and natural disasters and things outside of our control. What is just so unbearable in this moment is that this harm is not naturally occurring. It is being done intentionally. It seems that we have an occupant in the Oval Office that has contempt for every person who calls this country home. Because these are intentional choices. And bearing in mind, I'm just coming from Orchard Gardens, an incredible K-8 school in Roxbury. And I always go and spend time with the school nurses so I can better understand, what are the trends, what are the things, what are they seeing as children cross their threshold every day. And they're managing, and they have more than Band-Aids on skin needs, okay? But when I ask, what is the number one issue when children come to your office? Hunger. And that's why that school has had already for 15 years a food pantry. Now, we know a hungry child can't learn. So even before the big betrayal bill, and even before this Republican manufactured government shutdown, hunger was a crisis. We're so grateful to our good colleague and brother in this effort globally. Hunger has always been a moral failing, a humanitarian crisis, and a policy choice. Yesterday, I was in Chelsea visiting with our good friend Gladys Vega at La Calabrativa. They have a food pantry there. And they are being harassed and intimidated, waiting in food lines. I know what happened in East Boston as well, at the East Boston Soup Kitchen, by people whose hate is just spilling over. Then we are criminalizing that people are hungry. And none of this is naturally occurring. This is just with malice and hate and contempt. So, Senator, I thank you for bringing us together to underline and bold and highlight and scream from the rooftops that our most vulnerable are facing down a legislated, targeted, man-made hunger crisis. Thank you to Project Bread, Massachusetts Children's Services in Roxbury, all the efforts today, labor and love, to care for how a moment of profound humanity, forcing a child to go to bed hungry. The inhumanity of making a parent choose between feeding their family or paying the rent, or parents already that gave themselves less so that their babies could have more because of the unjust binary choices that struggling families are already making. I'm reminded of the Coretta Scott King. Starved is violence. Contempt for the working man and woman is violence. Neglecting children is violence. This is policy violence. It is violent, and this is the part that 100% preventable. Our families are now staring down a November 1st cliff when, for the first time in history, an administration could fail to fund the SNAP program. Let me say this, I've been in Congress 7 years. I was the first congressional class to be onboarded in the midst of a federal government shutdown. We did not leave. We were ever present, negotiating nonstop, because that's what we're supposed to do on behalf of the people and communities who sent us to Washington. And yet I have colleagues across the aisle who have been cruel enough to create work requirements around people, hungry people, being able to get food, but they won't show up for work. That they've been on a vacation for a month. And then you have the occupant building ballrooms and send money to Argentina. This is not about a deficit of resource. This is a deficit of empathy. As my teenage daughter would say. SNAP, our nation's critical food assistance program, could lose funding as early as next week. This is the same program that feeds more than 42 million people in America, that includes 16 million children, 4 million people with disabilities, million veterans, as the senator spoke to. Massachusetts, over 1 million residents rely on SNAP to put food on the table. More than half of those cases are right here in the Massachusetts 7th Congressional District. Again, we already had a crisis. And I just want to remind folks, because I represent the Massachusetts 7th, the most disparate outcomes, including and especially around health. From Cambridge to Roxbury, difference of 30-year life expectancy. And we are a food desert. And we have lost 3 daily tables that were critical in closing that gap. We lost 1 in Cambridge, 1 in Roxbury, 1 in Mattapan, and I've lost 2 hospitals. So this is a healthcare crisis. Trump and his Republican co-conspirators would rather fill their own pockets than fill the stomachs of hungry children. Republicans have used this government shutdown to skirt accountability, hamstring our federal employees, and essential programs that help our families make ends meet, all while building gaudy ballrooms at the White House and handing out tax breaks to billionaires, all in the name, this is the rich part, of so-called efficiency and patriotism. There is nothing efficient about making people sicker and hungrier. There's nothing patriotic. There's nothing patriotic about starving a nation's children. Every day the Republicans keep our government shut down, the pain grows deeper. Children coming home from school to empty pantries, working people unable to make it through the day because their bodies aren't sustained, elders who need to eat in order to take life-saving medication. Food is medicine. Food is life. Food is dignity. And the pain of hunger does not discriminate by party. What has happened here? This is not a party. This is a cult of cowards complicit in wholesale harm to our shared constituents who won't take on the occupant because they're more concerned with keeping a job than doing it. And this is a tsunami of hurt on the horizon. And while I know the Commonwealth, the city, and these incredible community partners, both elected and community-based, will continue to stand in the gap, we need Republicans to take their foot off the necks of our most vulnerable and reopen the government. The House has not been in session since September 19th, and House Republicans have been on vacation for over a month. Democrats remain ready to negotiate with the government. So today we are calling on our colleagues across the aisle to come to their senses, to listen to the people, to negotiate an end to this cruel shutdown, because on the wealthiest planet on the nation on the planet, no one should go to bed hungry. Food is not a privilege, it is a right. And we will not stop fighting until that right is guaranteed for everyone. So we're here today in solidarity with every person of conscience, best exemplified by these incredible leaders here today. And I pray that our colleagues will come to their senses. I'm so confused about people who invoke God and speak a heart full of scriptures, a mouthful of scriptures, but walk with a heart. But I'm inspired by each and every one of you here today. And Senator, again, thank you for bringing us together to shine a light. Okay. So now we'll hear from Jennifer Lemmerman, Chief